Welcome to Cutoff Genes, the podcast that helps you find your truth using nothing but DNA. I'm Julie Dixon Jackson, and I'm a genetic genealogist, henceforth known as a Gen Genie.
And I am Richard Castle, no longer considered a sidecar because when Julie told me last week what it was, I didn't want to have a sidecar. So now I am a sideshow.
Oh, sure you are.
Like sideshow
Like a
Rich. Sideshow Rich.
Yay.
No, I am not a freak, actually.
I was going to start singing something from the musical sideshow, but nobody would know what I was doing.
Whenever somebody calls me a freak, I tell them I am not a freak. And that, you know why I know that?
Because you're the Elephant Man?
No.
Oh.
Because when I worked at Disneyland when I was in college, I was like, somehow I ended up on some program called I Am Not a Freak. And they were filming some kids or something in the courtyard right next to where I was working. And I was like in the background during this whole segment. And the show was called I Am Not a Freak. And so when people call me a freak, I say, I am not a freak and I have a TV show to prove it.
Go back. Walk me through this. Why? Who was the freak? Or
They weren't freaks. They were those little kids that have, I believe it's called progeria, where they prematurely age.
Yes, I know exactly.
And they brought them into the park, and they were doing a show about them, and the show was called I Am Not a Freak.
Gotcha.
So, but I was in the background during the whole segment, and I did not know this until years later. And a friend of mine called me up and said, "Hey, Rich, I was just watching PBS, and you're on a show called I Am Not a Freak."
I love it when you find old footage of stuff that you're randomly in.
Right?
That's so great.
And isn't it awful that like while those poor little kids are, prematurely aging, I'm looking at the show going, look how young I was. I'm going to hell, Julie.
Oh, in a handbasket, Rich. Jeez. Well, that's a great story. Thanks for sharing.
What? I'm full of stories today.
Oh, do tell.
So can we move on to DNA and genealogy?
Please, yes. I bet everybody would like for that to happen.
So I was talking to my stepdad, who will be 80 next month, and he said to me casually, "Oh, by the way, you have another stepsister." And I'm like, "Really? I mean, what you been doing?" But no. So basically, he had a daughter who was, I think she's 58, who found him via DNA. And he told me, he says, I had a girlfriend way back when, obviously long before he met my mom, who he married, and long before he met his first wife as well. And they had an affair, and then they broke up and she skipped town. And he said he always had a feeling like he wasn't sure. So I don't know what it was. He was a little... it's a long time ago, a little vague about it. But she never told him, And of course, way back then, there was no way to communicate once somebody left town and
they were gone.
They were gone.
For all intents and purposes.
Yeah, I mean, unless you had their phone number or they contacted you didn't know where. So anyway, he didn't seem that surprised, and he was actually really kind of happy to know.
Yeah, I would think so.
So I was kind of happy for him.
Yeah.
He says, I didn't expect this to happen this late in my life,
Right, well, it's happening every day, and it's going to happen more and more.
But he said he's spoken to her on the phone almost every day.
Oh.
Isn't that neat?
Yeah, that's lovely.
And what did he say? I asked him for permission to talk about this. I said, I don't know if you know this, but I'm on a podcast about this very subject.
Yeah.
Do you mind if I bring it up? He said, no. So
very cool.
Yeah, I was like, who knew it would hit so close to home?
Oh, yeah.
I was just really kind of proud of him for being so accepting and open about it.
Great.
He's put his daughter who lives with him on the phone. His other daughter.
Lovely.
Yeah, to talk. He says, "Oh, they're hitting it off great." I'm like,
good.
Wow.
Good. Well, usually, if was she the only daughter?
No, Bill has another daughter as well. Yeah,
that's great.
So he's actually had 3. Yeah, now I think about it.
Makes them girls
that we know of.
Exactly.
He said to me, it ain't over till it's over. He says I was kind of, wild when I was young. I'm like, gosh, it's so weird because I look at him and he's, 80 years old. But sure, hopefully if we all live that long, we can look back on a life well lived. For what?
Really well lived.
Really well lived.
Yes.
Just interesting that the girlfriend never contacted him to tell him.
Yeah, that happened a lot. Right? I think it actually happens more often than not.
He hinted
that's a guess.
He hinted that she had some,
issues,
like substance abuse issues and that kind of thing. So
okay.
And so did his the birth daughter when she contacted him, said that she died years ago from some kind of overdose or something. So there was obviously other factors here.
Yes,
but
Well, that's wonderful. I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
Remember Peter Ellenstein, the sperm donor that with the 26 children.
Yes.
I heard from him yesterday. I encouraged him to take a DNA test and told him that I would do a tree for him so that he could put everybody in the tree.
Oh, wow.
And he also had his mother take a test, and her results came in yesterday, and she has a surprise aunt, half-sibling, or grandchild. It's not, it's probably not a grandchild. It could be a half-sibling, or it could be, it's probably, no, she would be the aunt. It's probably a niece.
Really?
But yeah, so.
Did you discover this?
No, he discovered it and said, "Oh, we have a mystery." So I looked at it, and of course, there's no name on it, but I know the tricks to getting around. So I found her pretty quickly and showed him where she was, and so he's reaching out to her.
Oh, that's exciting!
Yeah,
Oh my God,
I know. Every family it happens in,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's branches, and then there's like little leaves, and yeah, wow,
yeah. So I'm curious to find out who that is. Something happened at FTDNA a couple weeks ago that was interesting. A bunch of people, and I saw it on all of the pages, all of the DNA groups, people were getting a new match whose last name was Smith, and they usually matched somewhere between 100 and 200 centimorgans, with the largest segment being 7 centimorgans, which is very low for a large segment having that high of a match.
Okay.
You look like so confused.
As soon as you say centimorgans,
I
I'm
know.
like, my eyes start to roll back.
Think of inches or centimeters.
Yeah.
It's just,
All right. I'd rather think of inches. I never really was raised on the metric system either.
Okay. So, yeah, and people were and it doesn't make sense that somebody would match that highly with such. If the largest segment is only 7, that means that they're even smaller, and a tiny segment usually indicates that it's from many years back. But it's from many years back, and that high a total amount of centimorgans is crazy. It doesn't make any sense.
And then like Smith, it's just such a generic
It sounds
name.
like a glitch or some kind of a hack.
Yeah.
Is what I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and maybe somebody's mad at FTDNA because of their recent activities.
That's true. We talked about that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't know why you would do that, though. That's such a weird
Well, I don't
hack.
understand hackers anyway. I just don't, getting off on going into computers. I can barely check my
We
email.
can't get inside their head.
I can barely get inside my computer, get inside my email.
Hey, let's talk about the Warren Harding paternity mystery.
Warren Harding as in the president? Warren Harding. Warren
Yes.
G. Harding?
That's the one.
Wow.
That is him. So way back in the 20s, in the jazz age, there was the Nan Britton affair.
Oh, I don't know about this.
It says a product of jazz playing, gin-soaked roaring 20s and a pivotal moment in the evolution of the modern White House.
Well, I'm all for it then, especially
Yes.
the gin soak part.
Yes.
And jazz. I'm a musician.
So it was not the first time a president was accused of an extracurricular love life, but never before had a self-proclaimed presidential mistress gone public with a popular tell-all book. So she wrote a book about it. The ensuing furor played out in newspapers, courtrooms, and living rooms across the country. There was even, I don't know, I never watched Boardwalk Empire, but there was a subplot about it.
Oh, really? Yeah, I never watched it either.
Yeah, the Nan
Maybe I
Britton
should.
affair. Yeah.
Nan Britton.
Now's the time. So she was 31 years younger than Warren Harding. And she had a hard time proving her relationship when she revealed
She had
it.
a Harding time.
Oh, She
had a time with Harding. We know that.
She had more than one. And she revealed it after his death because she had destroyed... Oh, she had a hard time proving it because she had destroyed all the letters from him at his request. And his family insisted that he was sterile.
Oh, okay.
Interesting. So as a boy growing up, Peter Harding, who is Warren Harding's grandson, I believe, no, son, said that this, now how can he be his son? Oh, he's his nephew because Warren Harding never had children. Okay, so his father, who is Warren Harding's brother, said this couldn't have happened because President Harding had mumps as a kid and was infertile, and the family really vilified Nan Britton. So, and that he's a doctor now, he's a physician.
Harding couldn't get hard?
Stop it.
I'm sorry.
I'm losing my focus. All right.
And our audience.
Come back. All will be well.
Come back.
Yes.
We'll go back to PG. I'm
right.
sorry.
So after finding Ms. Britton's book, The President's Daughter, among his father's belongings, his uncle, his father was his, never mind, Warren Harding was his uncle.
Was Warren Harding married? He must have been, because, I don't think there was ever a president who was not married.
Yeah, he must have been, but didn't have kids.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. Because why would he secretly have this relationship with her?
Right. It wouldn't be a mistress.
She was 31 years younger than him.
It'd be a girlfriend and not a mistress.
Precisely. So he...
and why not? At that point, he probably figured, I can't father any children, so who's going to find out?
Exactly. Wow. Okay, so Dr. Harding and his cousin Abigail Harding decided to pursue the matter and made contact with James Blasing, a grandson of Ms. Britton, and son of the daughter claimed to have been conceived by the president. Testing by Ancestry DNA found out that Mr. Blasing was a second cousin to Peter and Abigail Harding, meaning that Elizabeth Ann Blasing had to be President Harding's daughter. So she went through all of that vilification from the world, and once again, she was right. So Peter Harding said it's sort of Shakespearean and operatic. The story hangs over the whole presidential history because it was an unsolved mystery.
I can't even imagine a president having an affair. I am
Go
shocked.
figure.
Shocked,
I tell you. Hey, do you know what Warren Harding's middle name was? I know you know it was G.
Not so?
Oh, my God. Make it end. It's Gamaliel. I don't know what that means. Gamaliel. So when Nan Britton was growing up, her father knew Warren Harding.
Okay.
And Harding's sister was her school teacher.
Oh.
That's weird.
A little awkward.
Listen to this. She was consumed with Harding, he was married, but had no children and was seen by women of the time as attractive. That sounds like shade to me. was seen by women of the time.
Yeah. Well, he was president. Like, at one time, president was looked up to as something,
by women of the time.
Women of the time.
Not so much anymore. Anyway, I digress. Ms. Britton hung pictures of Harding on her bedroom wall and sought his help finding a job. She hung pictures of her father's friend on her wall. That's weird.
She sounds like a stalker to me.
Yeah. I think she meant to do it.
I think she boiled his rabbit after she was done, too. Anyone? Fatal Attraction reference? No?
Yeah, right. I get it. Okay. So he was going to help her find a job, and he agreed to meet her in New York. In July 1917, at age 20, she became Mr. Harding's bride, as she put it, during a New York hotel room assignation.
Assignation?
What the heck does that mean? For 6.5 years, they maintained their affair, meeting wherever possible, don't start, including in Harding's Senate office, where Ms. Britton wrote that they conceived Elizabeth Ann, born in October 1919. Harding never met his daughter, but provided financial support. He and Ms. Britton continued their relationship after he became president. So she was conceived before he became president, repairing to a small closet in the anteroom in the West Wing, where she wrote they made love.
Wow. That's so lurid.
That's super juicy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I like that he he was responsible financially for the kid.
Absolutely.
I don't know. He didn't. It probably would have ruined. He would never have become president if it had come out that he had this child from a mistress, especially then. Now apparently we don't care, but
yeah. So I guess he was married the whole time. I'm sorry, I'm not American. There are things I don't know.
Well, you know what? I am American.
And you don't know either?
All my information about Warren G. Harding was from the miniseries
He was married.
Backstairs at the White House, which was on in the 80s with Olivia Cole and, oh, God, who else was in it? It was so good.
Wait, Warren Harding was in that?
He was one of the presidents, as I recall.
They never talked about Nan Britton then?
Maybe it was. Maybe, it was about the maids that worked in the White House
upstairs, downstairs?
over many different administrations.
What was it, a documentary?
When was Teapot Dome? Wasn't that during the Harding?
Yes, that was during that. That's what he's most famous for.
Yeah, so I remember that was part of this miniseries, and it was a book as well.
Okay.
Yes. And I think Leslie Uggams was in it, too.
Of course she was. She's in everything.
Yeah, it was really good. At least in my mind, watching it in the early 80s as a kid, I enjoyed it. I don't know how it would stand up today, and I've not seen it since, but now I'm going to have to search YouTube.
I'm going home to YouTube it, yes.
I actually bought the novelization of it.
Of course you did. That's crazy. So I just, Florence Harding was Warren Harding's wife. There you go.
Poor Florence.
I kind of feel bad for Florence.
Yeah. I wonder if she knew. Did she know?
That's a good question. Let's see. She married the somewhat younger Harding. Oh, he was even younger when he was a newspaper publisher in Ohio, and she was acknowledged as the brains behind the business.
Well.
Known as the Duchess, she adapted well to the White House, where she gave notably elegant parties. Okay, well, I'm not going to get into that.
That's interesting. He married an older woman and then had an affair with a woman that was like 30 years younger.
You know, if he'd just done a happy medium in the first place, everything would have been fine.
Well, I'm going to look on the bright side. He was not, he did not practice ageism. He's like, I like older women. I like younger women.
I like them all.
Yeah,
Good for him.
Good for Warren. Good for Warren.
And I'm just going to finish one more thing with Florence Harding. She had a lovely finger wave going.
Oh, you're looking at a picture.
I'm looking at a picture of her and some round glasses.
Because I was thinking, how did she wave with a finger? Oh, okay. We're talking the 20s, and okay,
I'm doing
gotcha.
it right now.
Yeah.
There's a finger wave. All right.
Are we waving goodbye to the segment?
Yes, goodbye
right.
segment. That was the fabulous story of Nan Britton. Boom.
If you're enjoying Cutoff Jeans, please subscribe, rate, and review. Now, back to Julie and me.
Okay, we're back.
I'm so refreshed.
Me too. Hey, it's time for a listener question.
Oh, good. I love when people write in or call in or whatever they do.
Call in?
Like we're a radio program. Caller, you're on the
there,
air.
caller.
I'm listening. Oh, I always wanted to say that like Frasier.
Yeah. I like it when they say long-time listener, first-time caller.
Mm-hmm.
We need to do that.
I've never called into a radio station.
Neither have I.
No?
No.
I did actually, though. I wrote in to a UHF. Do you remember UHF channels?
Uh-huh.
Okay. To a UHF station when I was a kid because I was so upset when they took Land of the Giants off the air. It was on at like 4 o'clock after school.
Uh-huh.
And they put on Emergency. And I wrote some letters saying, who wants to watch Emergency when they could be watching Land of the Giants? And you know what? Channel 38 in Boston wrote back to me.
And what did they say?
They said something about syndication and how many episodes they were allowed to show at once.
How old were you?
10.
Why are they trying to explain syndication to a 10-year-old?
I was just excited to get a letter back.
And validation.
Yeah, validation. They actually read my letter and they wrote back to a 10-year-old. So I was quite impressed. And now that I think about it, I'm even more impressed with myself and Channel 38.
Yeah, okay. Speaking of calling into radio shows,
Yes.
I'm sorry we're not on DNA, but I have to tell you this story. Yeah. My friend Clayton Jacobson, he's actually a very well-known Australian filmmaker. So all the Aussies are probably going, you know Clayton Jacobson? Yes, I grew up with Clayton. He used to, when we were teenagers, he used to call into the local radio station, which was 3XY, and win tickets and prizes and stuff. Like, to a ridiculous extent. He had some trick, or he'd figured out how to call in and win things. And he made like a mixtape of all the times that he won, and it's hilarious. I wonder if he still has it. I'm going to have to ask him. Did he win good
stuff?
Yes, he would win concert tickets and albums and all sorts of stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, he was prolific.
Ugh.
I need to ask him about that.
You should.
I forgot about that.
I want to hear it.
Yeah, I never was ever able to get into any of those.
Ugh.
Okay, so
and you know what?
question.
Land of the Giants I've rediscovered, and it's terrible. But I loved it
you
as a kid.
You don't mean Land of the Lost.
No, I mean Land of the Giants. It was
okay.
an Irwin Allen produced show.
Of course it was.
Before he did all the disaster movies of the 70s. So, yes. Doesn't hold up. But I mean, as a 10-year-old, I loved it.
Towering Inferno.
Yes.
Earthquake.
And maybe...
Poseidon Adventure? Was that
I think it was
Allen?
Irwin Allen.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe even The Swarm. All those kind of like disasters.
I don't like The Swarm.
No.
I'm changing the subject now. Okay, here's an email from, Nikki France. I don't know if Nikki's name is Nikki France because Nikki happens to live in France, so maybe that's their pseudonym. That would be really weird. Like, I'm Julie America.
Yeah, Julie. No, well, you'd be Julie Australia.
I don't live in Australia.
I know, but you're from there.
Well, he's not from France either, or she. I don't even know if it's a guy or a girl. So, here's the question. Let's get to it. Nikki says that they were born in 1962 in Philadelphia and relinquished at birth. They grew up in the States, but have been living in France for the past 25 years and are looking for their paternal side. What company should they test through?
That's a good question, actually.
It is a good question. And at the time, I was thinking, well, of course, Ancestry.
Yeah.
And I was sure that Ancestry did DNA testing in France. Well, I'm glad I researched that because they don't. Oh. And you can't, it's actually illegal to do DNA testing in France.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So what Nikki is going to have to do is either have somebody in the US or the UK purchase the test for him.
Right.
And register it, Nikki, and register it there and then send it to them. They take the test, send it back to them because it has to come from the country that it was originally sent to.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
So you think it's because that France doesn't allow it because of privacy concerns?
Who knows? I don't know.
I bet that's it.
Probably. Yeah. There are several countries that are not budging on that.
Well, I mean, I just read in the New York Times that China apparently has been taking DNA from like a large sample of their population and storing it for God knows what reason.
Well, that's not surprising.
And iris scans of their eyes.
Really?
Yes. Talk about control. And, you and I talk about the ethics and things like that of DNA on this podcast, which I love to talk about. And you're sort of the Pollyanna, oh, it's all good. And I'm like, no. Now look at China, Julie. Look at China.
Yeah, but it scares me because, I totally get your point, but I hate it when people, tell me, I'm not giving those people my DNA.
Use it as an excuse.
It irritates me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why.
I get it. I know. But there's two sides
privacy.
And maybe even 3 or 4.
There's a million sides. It's, you know what it is? It's a Dungeons and Dragons dice.
Oh God! You know what?
My husband's so proud of me right now.
And I'm looking with a blank expression because even though I've heard of Dungeons and Dragons, I didn't know that dice were involved or anything.
Yes, it's all about the dice.
Is it?
It's all about that dice. About that dice.
It's all about that dice. And you mentioned dice, and all I think is guys and dolls because it's about a floating crap game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's the oldest established permanent floating crap game in New York.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I hate us.
Did you ever do that show?
That was the first show I ever did.
Who were you?
Adelaide, of course. Duh.
I could see you as any of the
I played Adelaide. It's the first part I ever got. It's the first time I ever sang on stage.
Yeah.
And I played Adelaide in my high school in Australia. Then I moved to the U.S. and I played Adelaide in my high school in the U.S.
Oh, wow.
So I did it with an Australian and an American accent.
That's something else. That would be weird to hear Adelaide with an Australian accent. Yeah. Right?
It wasn't good.
Can you say a person could develop a cold?
A person can... I don't remember if I probably sang, because you tend to sing in American accents, even if you don't talk in American accents.
Right.
So
I never knew Olivia Newton-John was Australian until I heard her interviewed. I always thought she was American because
isn't that funny?
When she sings, she doesn't have the accent.
Yeah. Australians are pushing back against that now. I was just sent a song by my sister-in-law that was one of my biological father's favorite songs, and it's a country song, and the guy has a full-on Australian accent, and it sounds so weird to me.
To hear him singing in
an Australian
song.
accent, yeah.
Funny.
But it makes sense. We talk in Australian accents. Why wouldn't we sing in Australian accents?
There you go.
Anyway, so going back to Nikki France.
Oh, yes.
So, yes, originally I just thought wanted to know which would be the biggest database or the best database.
Yes.
And if you test with Ancestry, your DNA is going into the biggest database. So I always recommend Ancestry. I don't work for them. I don't make any money from them, but that's just my go-to place.
Your odds are better if you go through them.
Absolutely.
Sure.
If you can only test at one company, test at Ancestry. Right. That is what I have to say. All right. So I hope that helped Nikki. I answered Nikki personally, but I wanted to do this too.
Thank you for your question, Nikki.
Thanks, Nikki. Let me know how that goes. Should we do a book nook?
Yes, let's do a book nook.
Okay. This is one of my favorites. This is The Foundling by Paul Fronczak.
I love the title.
I know.
It sounds like a horror novel, like The Changeling.
Yeah, but he was literally a foundling.
Like they found him on the streets.
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, well, that is a foundling.
Yes, it is. It's the literal meaning of a foundling. So Paul Fronczak it's a fascinating story, and I don't want to give it away, obviously, but he was the son of a couple in, I think it was Chicago, and right after he was born, he was stolen from the hospital.
Oh my God.
And
that's horrible.
Yes, it was horrible. Somebody dressed as a nurse came and stole him.
Ugh.
Yes, and he was gone for years. And then suddenly he was found in, I think, Philadelphia? No, in New Jersey, in very well dressed he was a toddler by then, in a high-end pram. And, the FBI decided that he was the baby that was stolen.
But how did they find out that he was the baby that was stolen? Like, there was this before DNA and all that.
They just believed that he was the baby that was stolen, and they brought his parents to New Jersey to identify him, which is ridiculous because
he was an infant.
He was an infant.
Like a newborn, right?
Yeah. Right. So the parents were obviously under this thing of like, well, we can't deny that he's our child.
Right.
So sure, that's our child.
Oh, I want to read this book.
It's a really good book, and it takes so many twists and turns that you wouldn't believe.
I'm so intrigued by this story.
Yeah.
This is really fascinating. Yeah. Is it a new book? Is it something?
It's been around. I think it's been around for a couple years.
Yeah.
His story. He basically used DNA to solve his case, part of his case, but. He was helped initially by, remember Coast to Coast, that radio show, late night radio show with...
I don't.
Okay. It's kind of like a supernatural radio show.
Oh, you mean like a psychic or something?
It just explored unusual happenings in the world and kind of a little bit of, what's it called?
The occult?
Yeah, the occult or theories, I guess. And when I was doing theater, I would always listen to it driving home late at night. When it was kind of creepy because it was a lot of ghost stories and stuff like that.
Right.
And it was just this guy talking, but he was really smart, but he took it all very seriously to where you would normally, if you heard that story, you'd go, that's ridiculous. But you think because this guy believes it, it must be true. Anyway, that guy helped Paul initially get his story out.
Okay.
And he was living in Vegas. I think he still lives in Vegas. But anyway, I'm not going to give you the whole story, but it is amazing. It's circuitous. It's a page turner. You won't be able to put it down. So once again, that's The Foundling by Paul Fronczak. Please get the book. You will thank me, and we can have a discussion about it in the Facebook group.
Whew, I'm overwhelmed. I think we should take a break.
I'm whelmed. I'm just whelmed, but I need a break anyway.
You're usually underwhelmed.
I know.
I'm overwhelmed. When we get together, we're just whelmed. Thank you for listening to Cutoff Jeans, the new podcast starring Julie Dixon Jackson.
Hi guys, welcome back. It is story time. This is part 3 of our 4-part extravaganza. I've been saying it was, I keep forgetting that movie that my husband always talks about. Rashomon, that Rashomon style series where you see the same story from different points of view, which I guess this kind of is. I was going to mash these last two together, the two sisters, but it would have made it too long and I didn't want to take too much out of each interview. So there you go. This week it's Jessica Poole. Jessica is the one who I did a teaser a couple of weeks ago where I first discovered her name was Jessica Poole and told her that my name was Fisher-Price. Anyway, this is Jessica's story about how she found her half-sister, her biological half-sister that her mother had given up. Have a listen, and I'll see you on the other side. Okay, everybody, I have on the line Jessica Poole, who is just one of the many people that are going to tell us this story. This particular story, because the whole family has agreed to talk to us, to give us their point of views. I'm going to do this, what is that called? What is that movie? Rashomon style, where it's everybody's different point of view. I'm going to see if I can do that anyway. Hey, Jessica, thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Really excited to hear this story, and I want to get into your background. And first, tell me a little bit about your family life growing up.
Well, I'm like, I grew up in a family of three. Well, we're a family of three brothers and brother and sister. I have a brother and a sister, and I'm the oldest. And my father is a preacher and has been my whole life a preacher and a missionary. So we grew up kind of all over the United States. And then we went to South America. And so I always tell people we kind of had a very nomadic, I feel like, childhood where we were everywhere. We've been to all over the United States, pretty much traveled all over in a motorhome for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it was interesting. I used to not be able to sleep if the motorhome was not moving. I know it's kind of interesting because now for work, I fly a lot and I sometimes wonder if, the moment I get on a plane, I tend to fall asleep. And I wonder if that's not because it sounds weird, but if not because when we were younger, we traveled and I would sleep in the car. You know what I mean?
So you can sleep sitting up.
Yes,
I can't do that. Okay. Well, that's a talent right there. I'm envious. Okay. So, so you had a very close, obviously close-knit family.
Yes, very close.
And tell me, so what inspired you to take a DNA test?
Well, when I was 20, I got pregnant with my oldest daughter, and I was not married at the time. And I was speaking to a cousin of mine, one of my mother's sister's daughters, and she made this off the cuff comment to me saying, "Oh, you're just like your mother."
Oh.
And I was like, what does that mean? You know?
Yeah.
And she said, well, my mom told me that, she had a baby when she was your age. And I said, you must be mistaken. That's not my mom. That had to be like Aunt Patty, which is the other sister.
Uh-huh.
And she's like, no, my mom said it was your mom. And so I called my mother, and it's going to sound very funny, but my words exactly to her were, don't lie to me.
Wait, so she said hello and you said, don't lie to me.
Well, not exactly.
Okay.
I need to ask you. I was like, I need to ask you something. And I was like, don't lie to me. Like, just tell me.
Oh,
and
wow.
I said, did you have a baby before me? That was literally my words. And she said yes. And that's how I found out about Kari.
Wow.
And so my whole, the last 27 years, I have wondered about her a lot. My brother and sister were very close, all three of us, but they were even closer. They were closer in age. And my younger sister was kind of a tomboy. So her and my brother were very close. And at times I kind of felt left out, if that makes any sense. My sister is the youngest, so I was 5 years older than her. And so I always wondered if Kari was like me at all, or, did she look like me, or just if we had any similarities, how close we would be, So I was always very curious. And over time, I can't say I did like any kind of extensive searching, but I kind of did try and find her at times, but
Sure.
The adoption was closed.
Mm-hmm.
And
what state was it in?
Omaha.
Okay.
Nebraska.
All right.
Nebraska. Yeah.
The state of Omaha. I get it.
Yeah, I know. I was thinking it was in Omaha, but it's the state of Nebraska.
Gotcha.
So, yeah, it was closed, and I kind of talked to my mom off and on about it.
How was she talking about it?
She was open. She didn't know how to go about finding out herself. So
how did she feel? I just want to interrupt you real fast. How did she feel about your cousin spilling the beans on that secret?
I don't know that I ever exactly asked her.
Oh, okay.
My mom mentioned to me that, there was numerous times that she wanted to tell me. But I think she just didn't ever know when was the right moment
Sure.
to, and after
Yeah.
so many years of having it kind of be buried, it's, how do you spring it on your kids that, oh, by the way,
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And it's certainly something that you don't necessarily mean to keep away from your kids forever, I would think. But,
Yeah.
but you want to wait for the right time. And probably when they're small children wouldn't be a good time.
Yeah. And so I just think she never found the right moment to, relay that information.
Okay.
And then, of course, obviously when I was in my situation and I found out, and so then that was obviously the moment.
That's good timing.
Yeah. It was interesting timing.
I bet. So you'd done some casual searches, but didn't know what to do.
I really had no idea where to search. But I tried to find, just over the years, I tried to find out information. And Mom really didn't have any information to go on, which made it even harder. She just knew that she was adopted, and she thought the family was Baptist, and she thought Kari had dark hair, which actually she's blonde. So she just had some basic information.
Okay.
Nothing for me really to go on to be searching. So I felt somewhat at a loss.
Yeah.
Trying to find her. So
how much older is she than you?
She's about 4 years.
Okay.
So Ancestry had this Black Friday deal.
Yes.
And I got my DNA kit and sent it in. And when it came back, I was actually kind of disappointed because there was no connection. I was kind of hoping that she had done her DNA and, was going to say, hey, this is her.
So what was your top match at that point?
Just cousins.
Like first cousins?
Yeah. Yeah. First cousins.
Okay.
So that was kind of, cause my siblings haven't done their DNA.
Mm-hmm.
So there was nobody closer than that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, fast forward to April, I was actually talking to another friend of mine that, she was also adopted, and, she told me about a Facebook group that helped her find her biological mother, and she was going to put me in touch with them. I was in the process of kind of getting information from her, and I was going to contact them, but I'm a little slow moving. In June, it was actually June 21st, I got a message on Ancestry, and it was from Kari. She messaged me directly and was saying, she was in search of her family, and told me her name and her birth date and where she was born, and that she was looking for family, but that, she didn't want to disrupt anybody's life, but if I could put her in contact with anybody that might know anything about her, because Ancestry was saying we were first cousins.
So she had just got her results back?
She got him that day. She
right.
got him that day.
Wow, she hit the jackpot.
Yeah, I know. So, she got them that day. She messaged me. And then obviously in my heart, I knew just from the information she sent me, that's who she was.
Of course.
But I also was being a little skeptical. So I asked her, for her full name. And then I did a Facebook search.
Good for you.
And I brought up her picture. And when I saw her picture, she's my mother's twin. And it's kind of a funny story, too, because our whole lives, my mom has always said that none of us look like her, that we all look like our father. And I was like, you're obviously lying because you have a twin out there. Because Kari is literally the spitting image of my mother. I messaged her back and I said, I don't know how to tell you this other than just to tell you, I'm like, you're my sister. And she messaged me back saying, oh my God, this is the best news.
So great.
It's still kind of like, it still like gets me. Evidently she had also done 23andMe.
Right.
And it had come up with no matches, close matches. I think it had given her a distant cousin somewhere. But that cousin knew my mother's brother. And the cousin had contacted my mother's brother and Kari was telling me this all that same day, that she had been in touch with a cousin, and that he had contacted my mother's brother. I mean, I'm kind of protective of my mother, and
Sure.
I didn't want her to be blindsided, from a random phone call I know it's her brother, but I still just, I
get it.
Protective of her. So she was visiting my brother and my sister-in-law, and so I called my mother several times and she didn't answer the phone. So then I called my brother, and he said that she was actually with my sister-in-law. So I called my sister-in-law, and she said, oh, she's napping. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I didn't want to tell either of them because I wanted to tell my mother first.
Of course.
And so I waited like another half an hour, and then I started calling her again. She finally answered, and I said, Mama, I'm like, you know how I did my DNA in November? And I said, your daughter, she found us. And I said, I told her, I said, she got her results today. She contacted me today. And while I was on the phone with her, she got a phone call from her brother.
Oh, wow.
Her. Yeah. So I just, told her that her daughter had contacted me, that she had found me via my ancestry, and that she would like to speak to her. And I wanted to make sure that she was okay with that.
Yeah.
Because my mom, I'm not, I don't know why she's my mom, but I don't know, maybe I'm overly protective, but I just wanted to make sure that she was, it's 50 years that suddenly
it's a lot to process. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, she said, sure. And she was like, give her my phone number and have her call me. So Kari got her results that day, talked to me that day, and spoke to my mother the same day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. I can't even imagine, how Kari must have felt.
Oh, I can.
So, I know how much I wanted to find her.
Yeah. It's different though when you're actively, no, I've not been in your position and you haven't been in my position because I'm an adoptee as well. And it's such a surreal time.
Yeah.
To have been searching for somebody and thinking about somebody so long, and to finally be like on the cusp of talking to them.
Yeah. I can't even imagine for her how it must have been or felt, to suddenly have that complete aha moment of everything coming together,
Yeah.
And she had told me that, cause she was adopted, and obviously she was adopted. and then she had an adopted sister as well. And, her adopted father passed away, and her adopted sister and her mother had Alzheimer's, I believe. And that's really what kind of spurred her, because she suddenly was like, I lost 2 family members, and, who am I and where did I come from? And,
yes. Yeah. It's an existential crisis, really.
Yeah. And so I can't imagine not knowing where you came from, but then also losing an entire family that you had your whole life as well, that had to be huge.
Yes.
And, for her. So,
well, I love that you're so open, and you were so excited at the prospect of finding her, and she's very lucky to have you. Just let me say.
Yeah, we have some interesting stories. She told me that she had a doll when she was younger that she named Jessica.
Really?
And, yeah. So, that's kind of an interesting little bit of information, because I always, once I knew about her, I really wondered about her and
sure,
who she was, and to find that out was,
Yeah. Now, how long ago was this?
Which part?
The when of finding each other.
We connected on June 21st.
Okay, so it's been about
2018.
About 6 months.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
And then I actually got to meet her in October I was actually going to Charlotte. She lives in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I was going to Charlotte for work. And so I messaged her and told her I was going to be there, and would she like to connect with me?
Oh, how lovely. Has she met Mom yet?
She has not.
Oh, wow.
And she has not. Mama, we're trying to work it out. It just hasn't happened just yet.
Sure.
Kari's adopted mother also passed away this year.
Yeah.
And that happened in the last few months.
Yeah.
And then it's winter, and my mother's, we just haven't. Yeah. We haven't put her on a plane and shipped her off.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's, I mean, I've known my paternal side for a year and a half, and I haven't met them yet. So.
Yeah, no, we have not. She has not yet. My younger sister met her, I believe it was in August. And Becky also went to Kari. Kari was going to see her adopted mother. And my sister traveled there with her family to meet Kari. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for telling us your version of this story. It's so great. I can't wait to hear everybody else's take on it. It sounds pretty.
I'm kind of excited to hear exactly what they all have to say.
Me too.
And I'm curious to hear everybody's, thoughts.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird game of telephone. Jessica, thank you so much for talking to me and telling me the story. And thank you for being open and being a welcoming biological family member, because, not everybody is. And I, for one, appreciate it. And I think a lot of my listeners do too. So thank you.
Oh, yeah. No, thank you for having us.
Okay, so that was Jessica. I hope you guys enjoyed it. She was a delight to talk to. So next week we'll be hearing from Rebecca, who is the youngest sister, and they'll be rounding off our Rashomon-style story. Hope you guys enjoy it.
And also, listeners, if we always ask you if you have any stories you want to share. If you have any stories that perhaps you and a sibling or a parent want to share as well together, that
please.
Again, we can do it. We can do the interview. Julie can do the interview together.
Mm-hmm. However you want to do it.
Or separately. And I'm sure everybody would love to hear it. So.
Right. And also, if you're not comfortable coming on the air, you can just tell me your story, and I can tell it in my flowery way. Or not.
It sounds like a dragnet, like the names have been changed.
To protect the innocent. Yeah. So, guys, please keep reaching out. Love it. I love talking to people. And also, even if you think your story is not that interesting, if I haven't heard it before, or if there's a twist that is new, I'd love to hear that.
Oh, yeah. We love a good twist.
Yes. Twists are good. Twists are always good.
Yeah. Even in my martinis.
Up with a twist. All right. Hey, Rich. Tell the folks about you.
I am Richard Castle. I am a musician, a songwriter, and composer. Mm-hmm. And you can go to my website and hear my stuff at richardcastle.com, or you can hear my ramblings on Twitter, which are actually few and far between. They're not really ramblings. At Castle Songs.
You're not much of a tweeter.
I know. I tweet. I go through little not tweet storms.
Tweet storms.
They're more like a tweet squall. Like I'll tweet for
a maelstrom.
Yeah.
I love that word.
I love maelstrom too. I was trying to put it in a lyric the other day, and I thought no one's going to know what it is. But now that I know that you know what it is, I'm going to have you sing it.
My favorite review I ever got was from a production of Evita that I did, and the reviewer said, Julie Dixon is a swirling maelstrom of feminine supremacy.
Oh my God. I would put that on my resume.
I might actually, that may be the title of my book. Swirling Maelstrom of Feminine Supremacy.
Yeah, that's pretty fabulous.
Isn't
actually.
that good?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
I can't top that. So
I can't either.
Why don't you tell us about yourself, you swirling maelstrom of feminine supremacy? She's not only a Gengini, she's a swirling maelstrom of feminine supremacy.
I'm Julie Dixon Jackson. You can find me at Twitter at Jules Jackson with 2 O's. You can find the podcast on Twitter at Cutoff Jeans Podcast. You can find the Facebook group Cutoff Jeans Podcast and ask to join. Tell me a funny joke or even a not funny joke, and I'll probably let you in. And that's it.
And As always, what do you like to sign
Oh,
off?
as always, Richard, you know where the truth is?
No, I think I've misplaced it.
The truth is in your jeans.